Hey guys, it's Ammy Wolf here. I just wanted to start this video by mentioning that I have an Instagram. It's Ammy Wolf with an X because I think I'm cool. And I post quite regularly on there, so please go check it out, give it a follow. You will see a lot of stuff for Sanctuary on there at the moment, as well as whatever stupid thoughts about the community pop into my head. So with that out of the way, let's get on to the meat of the video. So I'm going to be showing you some of the costumes from Sanctuary, particularly the ones that I actually worked on. So I'm not including Gino's little necklace or Gerald's weird sash thing because I didn't make those. They were just like things that I found that I put on the horses. So to start off with, we're going to look at Marzi's costume. This was probably the first one that I made because I had the material and I was like, well, why the heck not? So this green bit was actually originally a ribbon, a really long, thick ribbon, obviously, that I cut down to the shape of his body. And you can see these seams here are just smaller ribbons that I have put on the sides to make the hem, the edges, and along the other sides here and here, just to give it a little bit more color. The detail on the back, some of the ribbon looks slightly tattered, and that is because although he lives in Victory City, he's not the top of the top, so there is a little bit of wear and tear on his cloak. That's not just me being careless, that was actually purposeful. And here, which I think is my favorite part of the costume, this sort of ruff here, I made from an old coat that I had that has one of those fake fur ruff things, and I cut a strip off and I just put it around, and I think it looks really cool. I think it gives him a little bit more of a pop compared to the other characters. Like, it's like his one nice coat, so he wears it all the time. And it's just connected at the front with a bit of chain. And these things are bands. This one doesn't really fit properly, don't worry about it. And one around his neck as well, because, you know, he's fabulous. And to go along with him, we have the two, I guess, henchmen, you could call them, who took Gino and presumably all of the other champions away from their clans to the tournament grounds. So they're kind of like the escorts, and again, it's just the same piece of ribbon, the same hemming sort of technique, and bits of chain on either side to keep it on there. It's kind of more like a royal guard uniform almost, but I wanted to keep the color scheme the same because they're supposed to be in the same job. So next we have Filetti's costume. This was actually a costume that I made for one of my other projects that I modified because I'm a bit lazy. But the original thing is made of felt, and I put a few pieces of, I guess, nylon fabric, you would say, around the edges to give it a more futuristic feel. And I put a bunch of fur on the top because I thought it looked cool, and it's kind of tattered. It's obviously quite threadbare. This thing has been in the family for a very long time. This outline here is made from the paint that you use to outline silk drawings, so it's very thick and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I just repeated the design on the other side. And it attaches with a little clasp at the bottom, but you never really see it, and she's got a flower in her hair. Now, these ones are some of the ones that I'm the most proud of. These are the bags that all of the champions wear to carry their beacons and other supplies, and I'm proud of these because I sewed them together, as you can maybe tell from the stitching. The orange fabric I chose because I thought it had quite a futuristic look to it. It's kind of meshy. It kind of reminded me of some of the fabrics that you might see in like the Hunger Games, for example. This is just a simple purple ribbon because I like the contrast between the purple and the orange, even though it does looks a little bit Halloween-y, but it's okay. And this fabric I actually originally got from a pencil case that I wasn't using anymore, and I just thought, why not put it to better use? So some of them go on the front, some of them go on the back of horses. Partially it's because some of the horses, the tail is connected to one of their legs, so you can't get it through, like in the case for Oliver. Some of them, I just wanted a bit of variety, so for example, this one's on the back. But I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think they're quite because they're quite close to the body, I think it's still quite practical for them in terms of like murdering other horses. They could totally do that while still looking chic fabulous. I couldn't forget Oliver, of course, our second protagonist. His costume is literally just a sort of harness. It's made out of a sort of purple leather with a moon sigil on the front. This, again, is the same silk paint that I used for Folletti's costume. And one of the reasons why I used it is because it actually covers up the hot glue that I used, and I think it does it in a very creative way, I guess. And I really like how it looks on him. I apologize that he's so dirty, but that's just that's just how he is now. I wanted something that kind of alluded to the fact that he might be some kind of warrior because, you know, that's where he's from. He's stone-born, so he's quite strong. He stands quite tall as the model. And I just thought that this small harness where he can hold his axe would go really well with his character. And finally, possibly the easiest costume that I've ever made is Vash's costume. We don't really know a lot about her in episode 1. She appears at the very end, and she's all ominous and shit. But this headpiece was just a piece from an old earring that had broken, and I was like, well, might as well reuse it. And this was another ribbon that I found, and I really, really like this design. I like the fact that it's still got the gold motif, but hers is blue, because she's a boss bitch. This ribbon, actually, it just slots on her back. It's held down by like a glue dot, but the ribbon itself has wire in it, so you can pose it however you want. So that's really helped in like keeping it in the exact place that I want it for when I'm shooting with her. It's a really beautiful costume. I think it's simple, but it shows how important she is, and I very much enjoyed making it. And there you go. These are all the costumes that I made for episode 1. I actually had a lot of fun making these because I've never properly made costumes before. I've made like 1 or 2 pieces that are usually just, you know, fancy rugs, basically. But I think I really pushed myself to make these look clean and in-universe, and I really hope you enjoy seeing them. Wow. And I cannot wait for you guys to see some of the designs in part 2. We're gonna see a lot of weird shit.
Don't be so serious. Don't be so serious. Don't be so serious.